Welcome back to your Netball Besties podcast. We're your hosts, Alexa and Jenna, and this is where we deep dive into game analysis for the SSN and also touch base on everything Diamonds and netball news related. I'm a little bit unwell today. I've been a bit sick with a head cold over the weekend, so I feel like my head is not 100%, but I'm going to push through and do my best. I'm sorry if my voice sounds gross. Jenna, can you go through what the scores were this week?
Yep, so we had the Lightning versus Firebirds, 63-62 to Lightning. We had the Fever versus T-Birds, 66-53, and that was the T-Birds win. Then we had Giants versus Vixens, 68-52 to the Vixens, and then Swifts versus the Mavs, 70-69 to the Swifts.
How crazy
Oh my
was
God.
that last game?
I think I was literally watching that last minute play out. Oh, it was, yeah.
All right, so have you done any tipping? You've done tipping on your Netball Talk, haven't you?
No, I have my own private tipping with.
How's your private tipping going?
3 for 4. So not too bad week, not too bad.
So I'm doing my tipping with no dribble. I'm nervous. I didn't realise that my tipping was going to be made public. Now I feel pressure. There's not a lot of netball news to really talk about this week. Nothing crazy has happened, but I did see in one of my comments someone mentioning about the Olympic bid and obviously how Netball Australia is asking everyone to essentially pledge for the Olympic bid. Apparently they only have 100,000 signatures at the moment.
Oh.
That's actually not, I did think there would be more. So Jenna, how's your week going? How's moving into new house and everything?
I feel like we're finally being able to settle. There's just so much. How can you have so much left to do, but then have done so much already? So I don't know.
Never ends.
Yeah, we're getting through it. I still have boxes I have not unpacked, but that's a future me problem, I think. It's just...
Tonight, actually, I've got the compulsory training. We're both coaching our daughter's year 2 teams. And
I think that's wild they're making you do a compulsory training.
I think as well, they're not making you do it.
No?
I think it's a WDNA compulsory thing.
Not.
Is it not?
No.
Oh, well, it's compulsory for me anyway. I mean, I need to do it. I've not coached
Oh, it's
before,
not a bad thing. But no, it's not compulsory.
I forgot our prop ball on the couch today, so there's no netball on the couch.
It's in spirit.
It's in spirit, yes. Let's just jump straight into the game analysis deep dive. So game 1, we had Lightning versus Firebirds. This, I don't know what I expected from this game. I think I was expecting, first of all, I was expecting Gabby Sinclair to be in this lineup because the original lineup that was released did have her on it. Obviously, we had...
Very late out.
Yeah.
Very late out.
Obviously, also the absence of Maddie Gordon.
Yeah, that was sad.
So sad. So she's been out for a few weeks. So she did her hamstring.
Yeah.
No more information released about that. Hey?
No, but she even took to her Instagram as well and said that she was a bit devastated about it. So she came here to grow a game and then you're given the opportunity and now you're out injured. So which makes me sort of think you wouldn't post something like that if it was only a couple of weeks.
Well, hopefully, obviously, to get her back into, the SSN and for Firebirds environment, but also, for Silverfern's sake, they're going to want her back at 100% for the upcoming Commonwealth Games. So because of that absence, I was expecting Firebirds not to have performed as well as they did. So that is on me because they absolutely had control of this game. Both of the shooting ends for these teams is where the issues essentially were. And it was basically about which shooting end could kind of sort it out faster. I think that Lightning won this game by the skin of their teeth with a lot of luck.
With a lot of luck.
I know some people will be like, they still won. And yes, they still won. And at the end of the day, that's what matters on the score. You get your 4 points, that's what matters. But also it isn't just what matters. This is obviously where all of the issues are coming up, and that is where the teams are going to strategize about, okay, well, we need to fix that, we need to change that, this is what we need to work on. So it's not just about saying, oh, hey, we won. Obviously, I know the fans want to do that. So Fiber's shooting end, we saw Mary give her best shot at going after Romelda's...
me bounce.
Yeah, me bounce. Goodness, that was a version of yips I have never seen.
Oh,
Because it was every single first attempt at her shot, she was hitting the ring.
Yep.
And then her second attempt, and luckily because she is so tall, she is the only one able to get rebounds. So frustrating for those defenders as well.
It felt like all the shooters had the yips this weekend. Like, oh my gosh, do we need to go back to basics?
No, it was something in the water this weekend, wasn't it? Because Donnell was the same down the other end. Not as bad as Mary, but then and also Romelda, classic. It's just something about the positioning of specifically, like I think Romelda and Sophie do this as well. They position themselves so directly underneath the post that the physics
any
and
shooter
trajectory,
would know. Like as soon as you're looking up at that ring and you're like, oh, okay.
Even when Mary was shooting from a little bit of distance, her shots were going in easier. It's like, girls, just step back. It's actually not an advantage to be under the post.
It's almost like they're like, get to post, and then they get to post and they're under the post, and then they're like, ooh.
I don't understand the reasoning behind getting literally underneath the post. The physics of it is not in your favour.
No, just take a step back.
It's a little step back. So let's talk about Mary, because this is where Firebirds really struggled, and I felt for them because they actually did a phenomenal job. They did control this game. Macy Gardner, she actually did really well. I think she had over 100 net points. She really cleaned up a lot of those turnovers and penalties that she had a lot of last week. It was just really messy in the shooting end, both teams.
It was. I just think both of those sides haven't quite figured out what their dynamics is, and I think as well because we still haven't seen Gabby play, we don't really know fully what it looks like. And I know we've seen Cara do spells at GA before, but I think she just plays such a traditional GS role so much stronger that I feel like she's almost being disadvantaged being pushed out to GA and being expected to then, it's a very different ball game.
Obviously, it makes sense as to why they're putting Cara out there. I mean, you're hardly...
They don't have
any option. But at the same time, they also did bring Tipperdown.
That was another thing, that I made as well. Why did we not even see Tipper go? She's a GA.
She's a GA.
Even just, Wallen was, getting you could see she was getting a bit of pressure. Bench her. Put Cara back, the same thing we said last week, put Cara back in there, get a bit of, familiarity, and then...
And that's the frustration, I think, is that, yes, Lightning won this game, but technically, with the team that they have, they should have won by a lot more.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the frustration is, because just like everything that you said, and where Cara is a good GA, like no one is disputing that she's a good GA. She had over 100 net points in this game, so I don't want to take that away from her at all. And Donnell Wallen did get player of the match in this game, but I guess the first half of this game is where them as a unit...
They haven't quite clicked yet.
Yeah, it was... all the spatial awareness, they were getting into each other's space. The feeders were really struggling. They were just swinging, trying to create swings around the circle. No one was coming forward because their instinct...
They were so busy to go back.
Their instinct is to play more of that GS, that either create a screen or something like that, and no one was doing the sweeping and the popping forward until the end, and Cara did start doing that. It obviously, and that changed the flow, and then Donnell was able to kind of play more of her traditional holding role, and her holds became a lot more stable towards the end. She was doing, sometimes she holds too close to the baseline, and we see that, fall out of court, and then she'll flick the ball in. And I know everyone loves that, and I feel like
shouldn't need to do that.
Yeah, I guess that...
You shouldn't need to do that.
That's the thing. I know it looks very spectacular, it looks very fancy, and it's a huge scream celebration when it goes in. But technically, if you have a strong
literally
core,
a last ditch attempt, you're like, oh shit,
like it's definitely not anyone's plan A.
No.
So ideally, like she did towards the end of the game, she held a lot higher. There was a lot more like structure in the actual setup of the play around the circle, whereas like the first half, it was just messy. There was no structure at all. But again, I still would have really liked to see how it would have worked with a specialist GA like Tipperdown.
If you're going to call in a replacement player,
at
least give them a crack. But like even as you said before, like the Firebirds were leading that game. It was theirs to lose. Was it a fitness thing? Because you could tell there was a notable drop in that fourth quarter. It was almost like they just ran out of steam.
Obviously, we're in round 2. There's a lot of teething issues, and this is still, pre-season. You want to be able to work everything out, but that's not always the case. And obviously, having injuries and everything changes. So I actually think that the Donnell and Cara setup for super shots has so far been the best. Not necessarily accuracy. Like how easily both of them are finding space in that super shot zone.
I think the defenders are still not figuring out, because they're both probably like, they're not going to go for it, and then they are. So I think that's actually what it is. They haven't quite clicked on. But good on Cara. I'm really happy to see her starting to, go out for twos.
Well, she was so good last season as well. I loved seeing that from her. We had a really unfortunate, accidental knock to the nose for Kelly Jackson.
Looked sore.
That looked sore. That was a lot of blood.
It was a lot. Noses are a pain.
It wasn't broken though, was it?
No. I think the very tip of Donnell's elbow copped the tip of the nose in that. But yeah, you wouldn't expect that much blood, but yeah.
So Liz, as usual, solid as a rock. That she, had that beautiful intercept as well, which we don't always see from Liz. She's not a heavily intercepting player, is she? But she got right in there near the circle edge and then got it straight back to Donnell under the post. Yeah. And that really changed like the momentum of the Lightning energy as well, and definitely like helped get them to the win in the end. It was just kind of like such a, yes, we needed that turnover. Really liked the combination with Berger and Bruce this week. It worked a lot better. Yeah, I liked that Berger was on there for longer.
Yeah, I think they started off and it was still a bit, like iffy. It was almost, I did notice as well, like they were just getting called out of play for really silly things. You're pulling yourself out of play. Like it was just not necessary. But then towards the end of the game, it felt like it finally started to, the defense for Lightning started to click a bit better.
Like I was thinking if Maddie Gordon was on this court, would the Firebirds have won? Because I think at the end of the day, the overall team of Firebirds were actually really, really solid. And I don't want to point blame in like one particular area, but it was the turnovers that were happening under the post with Mary. Yeah. Because yes, you can say as much as you want, like, like I know Kath loves to say it isn't a missed shot if you get your own rebound, but she didn't get every rebound. No. There was fumbles on, and there were turnovers there. So it's just an area to work on, obviously. I'm feeling really positive for Firebirds this season.
I hope so too. I think they're so close to their first win. Like they are just so close. Actually, who are they versing next week?
Not sure. I feel like I'm really mellow. I'm just like struggling to find my energy. So next week they're versing T-Birds, and look, at the end of the day, T-Birds are just going to win everything.
Yeah. I think T-Birds are Fever last year at this point in time.
Potentially, yeah. Well, Swifts were also undefeated for like 9 in a row, weren't they, at the beginning of last season? Yes. They had a really strong start.
And then Fever surpassed them.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm actually sort of enjoying that we're having close games at this point. Like literally round 2 and it's already like, I feel like you learn more in a close game than you learn in a blowout, and you'd rather learn now.
These are the games. If you're going to lose any of them, these are the ones you want to lose. Game 2, Fever versus Thunderbirds.
That was a game.
Like I said in my mini analysis as well, is there was almost not much to say about T-Birds because they're kind of impossible to critique at the moment. All there is to say is essentially sing their praises.
Looking solid as a rock.
They really are.
As a rock. Strength to strength. Shamera is coming out of her. Shelmore. She's
here to play.
Whoever had any doubt? And like Aiken with her yips. Do you think it was a bit of like going up against your old side?
Definitely.
Being like,
yeah. But also being up against Shamera Sterling-Humphrey, who's come back with something to prove. Yeah. She has come to make a statement. She was playing in her home crowd. She's back, and she wanted to show everyone that she was back.
Yeah.
Romelda just happened to be on the receiving end of it.
I don't know, even Fever's like vibe, they felt a little nervy, overthought it a little bit. Like we've seen Fever when they're, confident playing their own game and nothing can penetrate, but it felt like they were really like a bit nervy. And
understandable as well, because we saw the pre-season game. Like that was their pre-season game, and
so maybe there was
there was definitely something. I think it makes sense that they would be a little bit apprehensive going in because the Thunderbirds did beat them quite convincingly in the pre-season as well.
But that being said, 2 notable standouts for Fever.
Yes. Yeah. So obviously Sasha and Alice Teague-Neild are our favourite combination, I think.
Definitely, yeah. They are so good, even just like the way they could just stand up and just be consistent. Sasha, at any point, she was like, yep, time for super shots, let's go for it. Like she was just, I think she was really the backbone in there.
No, she had a standout game despite the scoreline. Sasha individually, with the assistance of Alice Teague-Neild feeding flawlessly, that was actually their connection around the circle edge in particular was quite seamless.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I mean, T-Birds, yes, we've obviously spoken about the flawless defence. They're back. They're stronger than ever. I really, really am loving seeing Lauren Frew and how much her game has grown so far this season. I think having a shooter like Elmore in the circle, that style and the way that she positions and moves, it really allows for a lot more freedom, but also it's allowing her to really involve herself in the game a lot more as well. So she is going in, she is offering, she is asking for ball, and she's getting those shots, and she's getting, you know, she's getting her confidence around that to demand the ball and share the load. Even though you have such a dominant shooter like Elmore, I love when there is an element of sharing the load. Whereas I think last season with your Romelda under the post, it was really just, like the GAs are just there for super shots. Elmore can shoot super shots too, and I feel like it's a much smarter strategy when you're having that shared load.
And I feel like starting that game as well, Dehaney was finally putting some pressure on Vandenberg. You could see she was started missing. She was getting pushed right up against that baseline. But then it felt almost like at half time, like Dehaney just pulled right back off there, no arms in the air. So that made me think could this be the injury playing up and she's trying to protect? Because it was she was so on her and it was paying off first half, and then it just quietened right up. Also showed that Fever just didn't have a second option in GK.
It's interesting. I wonder when we're going to see Ruth back.
Well, I listened to the Fever's new podcast, Fever Pitch. And then Ruth was actually the first guest last week, and she said that, not sure yet, but she's building really well, hopefully within the next few weeks. And she said, they said, can you be expected at any point? She said, the number 4, round 4 sounds nice.
I was saying to you earlier, Jenna, I was listening to the No Dribble podcast this week, and Sue Gordian was on there, and it was actually so interesting to get Sue Gordian's insights on the behind the scenes happenings of Fever, and really just getting any kind of insights behind any team is obviously, we're intrigued. We want to know. But it was interesting. She talked about what you mentioned as well, how sick Fever were in pre-season. They were all just throwing up,
gastro,
so sick. But also she was talking about Romelda's game and how smart she is as a player. I know she's a tall holding shooter, but to have going on 20-year professional netball career, you have to be smart.
Definitely, yeah, because you see people that start really strong, they so much potential, and they burn out within 5 years.
They get figured out.
Yep.
100%. You always see people come in with I guess we're kind of probably doing that to Elmore a little bit at the moment. She's very much on a pedestal similar to what Grace was, because Swifts had that undefeated start to their season, that it was the new shiny toy in the season.
That would be exciting to see if they can figure out. I think the difference with Grace is she has her holding game, whereas Vanderbilt, she's just adapting just as much as the defenders are adapting in a game, and she's so quick with how it changes. She's hard to click onto, and then because she's not going to do the same thing every single time that ball comes in. You don't know if it's going up, it's going low, she's going under the post, she's going out for a super. You don't know.
I love how confident she is on her shot as well. There is no needing to take a breath. It's just she looks
deadpan
and shoots. I'm
that's
damn, girl.
That's what you want.
That is the hardest shooter to defend for sure, because then there's no time for a defender to get their feet placements and get their hands up. Really even put pressure on the shot. She's just ball in hand, looks, shoots.
Yeah, defenders want you to hesitate.
And Georgie had an absolutely flawless game, when doesn't she? She just looked undefended in this game.
Yeah, it was definitely T-Bird's game. Even the defensive pressure, when don't they have amazing defensive pressure? But in particular, their box defense, they just had Fever trapped in the box, and Fever were just so rattled.
I really liked Dan's instructions though. He's very clear with what he wants, and he repeats himself, and he makes sure that they understand what he's trying to say. I really like how clear he is with his communication. What were your thoughts on Dan's changes? Because I've seen views on both sides of this being a smart choice to give the girls a rest and have some strategy chat with Sasha, and then I guess the other side, at first blush seeing it and just being why?
Yeah, I remember seeing all the changes, sort of going, oh, okay, all right. Alice Teague-Neal out to GA. I don't think that was terrible. I'd actually like seeing her in there a little bit more. I think we were better off making those changes just into centre, things like that, to keep that experience, because I think it probably wasn't the game to just bring on a whole bunch of rookies. I did like Jess in centre.
What did you think about Sloane Burton? Because we saw her a bit at the pre-season game as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
No, she's the best name. Sloane, that's the coolest name.
Considering she went out first SSN game against T-Birds and could get a super shot up, could do that, I think that was really well. I think she played less nervy than we saw her in the preseason game. She was a bit more nervy, but maybe going up against T-Birds there too helped her.
Because she's a predominant GA, isn't she? Whereas Liv was a predominant GS.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Liv is a GS.
Because she had a lot of confidence with her movements. If we're talking about what went wrong, it just comes down to, I think, they were just simply outplayed by the better team on the day.
They got completely sucked out of their game plan, and it was just all T-Birds' way.
I do like the Romelda and Sasha circle. We liked it last week. We like it this week. They do have a really strong connection. The balance does work. It was just, there were just a few loose balls in the circle that I suppose when you're a really tall holding shooter, you're not going to be the first on the ground to pick up those balls.
But also every single pass, a Fever player had to rip it in. Every single pass. And that gets tiring too. But there were also, that being said, from the feeders as well, there were some subpar feeds, if we call it that.
Huge turnover count, wasn't there? From memory, there were a couple of passes, weren't there, from the mid-court that were probably should have been worked closer to the circle edge that were just kind of thrown in from the mid-court and that were straight into Shamera's hands pretty much.
And I did feel for her a couple times though. I mean, a couple occasions, 2 hands to that ball, first possession, called the other way.
Jenna, you are, very deep in the understanding of everything Fever. So what do you think Fever need to do going forward for next week? Who are they playing next week?
Yeah. Fever versing Giants next week. I think they need a confidence boost. Giants, I think, will still challenge them. Fever can go, all right, let's get back to what they do best. Let's get confidence back in. We've got the crowd on our side. I think they just sort of need to essentially just go back to basics. Passing, shooting.
Patience. Resetting. Like that box defense.
Yeah.
The forced panic passes cross
That's
court.
Exactly what it was.
It was a bit of stress and panic.
It was stress and panic, and it was purely beautifully executed by T-Birds to force it.
Speaking of the Giants, game 3, we had Vixens versus Giants. This went pretty much exactly how...
Giants held close. They held close
only
to start,
for the first quarter.
And then they just...
I feel like every first quarter, I don't even make notes really in the first quarter because everything
You know what it
changes.
was? As soon as Emily Mannix came on the court. That's what did it. I mean, welcome back, Emily Mannix. It's so nice to see all these women coming back from having babies and absolutely killing it. But as soon as Emily Mannix, it was just like it shifted.
I mean, a few things shifted. I think in defence, the combination of Joe and Mannix was just like outstanding.
Yeah, it's like putting on, like a nice old shoe, comfy shoe.
Yeah, because the pressure that they put the shooters under allowed for, Joe Weston had 8 games.
Yeah, there was no easy ball into those shooters.
She was on, she was on Dwyer, and even
it was heated. I don't think I've seen Joe that heated in a while. She was riled up.
She's a human backpack, we know that. And she absolutely did not disappoint in this game. I would, oh my God, can you imagine playing against, I would die. I would just wave the white flag, I'm done. At the end of the day, I think the experience outshone there with the defence end versus a very young, and I know we talk about this a lot, and Dwyer does have a lot of experience now, but she is still quite young. She does have quite a few seasons under her belt playing with Diamonds, playing with your Joe Hartons. So should she be more of a leader in that circle? Yes, I do think she should be more of a vocal leader than what we're seeing because at the moment there is none. Yeah. There is no Joe Harton,
which is
and
actually
no one
funny.
Is the vocal
we saw
leader.
Joe Harton in commentary, and even she made the comment when she was asked about their attacking end. She said that Giants were very obviously missing a consistent, strong go-to shooter, and it's funny because that's her. That was her.
That was her.
Defense, I felt were actually doing pretty well. We saw them getting some good hand to ball. Even when Jane Watson went out to GD, she was getting some really good tips. That was really good. We saw Tilly on for her last game too. Yeah. That was sad.
I think defense is actually, that's not their issue at all.
No.
And once Jodie and Ward comes back, their defense is actually going to be pretty solid.
Which I reckon is probably next week, isn't it?
Hopefully.
I'm pretty sure now she's coming back. Now that Tilly's retired, I think she retired in time for Jodie to come back.
She was in the league below this weekend she played.
Oh, did she?
That's what that... Yeah, because I misread the poster. I thought it was her coming back. So
that's
she's
a
close.
very quick recovery, considering, remember, she did it in one of the last rounds of the season.
I know, it was traumatising. Yeah.
Yeah, that was devastating. But she did it in one of the last rounds of the season and then came back, and she's already back. That's crazy.
Yeah. Can't wait for her to come back. So I really think that... Look, it's almost like... it's frustrating because I think that Jane Watson, fantastic signing, and with Erin O'Brien, absolute upcoming star. You know, we saw so much of that last season. When Jodie Ward comes back, that defense is going to be very hard to penetrate. Where Giants, you know, and we are seeing this, the mid-court, not as strong. They do not have a strong centre at the moment.
Well, I wonder if we might just see Sligo more in there then.
But she also didn't
over WD.
Yeah, she's a very defensive heavy.
She is, yeah.
And you know, we see defensive heavy wing defences and centres like JLP absolutely thrive. So
yeah, it's a shame you can't clone JLP.
Yeah, I know. You know, so it's not to say that Sligo won't get there and her attacking game won't get you know, better, I think, but at the moment as they stand, the centre court is not holding up against. I mean, they have come up against. They've come up against the hardest centres at the moment. They've come up against JLP and they've come up against Kate Maloney. Yeah. That's a pretty hard task as a centre if centre isn't your main position. Yeah. That is a very, very tall order. Now the shooting end, that is, it's just not working. Yeah. At the moment, you know.
Just like exactly what Harton said in commentary, I think they're missing that strong, consistent. I mean, we saw Lucy Austin started strong against Rudy, but then as soon as experienced Emily Mannix came on, immediately shut down. And I think even Kath Cox, to quote her, every ball she takes is either tipped out of her hands or dropped.
To Lucy's credit, her positioning was good. She was finding space. She was holding well. She was creating that space. It was actually, like, her positioning wasn't the issue. It was all of a sudden the accuracy was disappeared.
And this was another thing that came up on the Netball Talk page, like in our chats. Yes, it's one thing, you're a shooter and consistent, but if you can't shoot under pressure, you need to be able to perform under pressure.
I want to be fair to Lucy because I feel like she has had such a unique journey in the last 2 years. She was she was benched and then moved down to reserves for last season at Thunderbirds. So we really didn't see her in SSN at all. And then she was thrown into the Wolves' den with a sudden invitee selection for Diamonds. Then she's thrown into that environment.
Which was very interesting, yeah.
And obviously made her Diamonds debut. And then she gets signed to essentially replace, and this is, I think, where the pressure would be on, is because she was signed to the Giants to replace arguably one of the best, smartest, most reliable goal shooters that has ever played the game. And that is a lot of pressure. It is. A lot of pressure to not even have really been on an SSN court for an entire season.
I believe Lucy Austin has the potential to grow given the opportunity of more consistent time. But do you think maybe the fact that she has been pushed through all of these stages so quickly in such a short time that has actually disadvantaged her ability to grow in confidence and strength as a player?
I mean, perhaps at the end of the day, she just hasn't been playing at this level that much yet.
Yeah, and being pushed into the Diamonds environment, which is probably about 10 times more competitive than SSN, pushed into all those things, has that actually disadvantaged her?
Look, at the end of the day, yes and no. I think the pressure is a lot, but I think she has a lot of support around her, the Diamonds in particular, in that environment. And obviously her coach has a lot of faith and belief in her. She started this week. I honestly think that Lucy's movement and everything was, for me, the light at the end of the tunnel. The fact that it's not her positioning, that's the issue. We know she can get a ball through the hoop. Okay, that comes, I think, with managing your own nerves under pressure, like you said. And once all of a sudden you've got an amazing defender on you, all of a sudden shit gets real, right? So, but we know she can get the ball through the hoop. The ability is there.
Yeah, so she has the potential.
It's the mental strength. Sure. Yeah. It's that self-confidence, it's not getting rattled. But for me, the mark of a great shooter, or the potential for growth in a shooter, is how smart they are with actually getting ball in hand. And I feel like that's the issue that we had with the Matisse and Sophie combo last season, was both of them accurate as all hell, right? They are amazing accurate shooters, but doesn't matter if you can't get the ball in hand.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's why Vandenberg's standing out so much, because she is getting ball in hand. No matter what the pressure, she's getting it done. But then we're seeing other shooters that, as you said, are so good within their own right, but they're just not getting ball.
if we're touching on Elmore, I also do want to credit the entire attacking team for Thunderbirds because
it has been consistent. Heffernan, like all of them in there, Georgie, what a
she has to get fed the ball well at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that is part of it. It's not like, she's not a standalone star, just like Georgie isn't a standalone star. They just all work really well. And I truly believe that is credit to Tanya Obbs.
Yeah.
Like, she is just...
And this is where I actually think it's so important. Yes, it's one thing having big stars named in your team and the grab for the fans, but I actually think a lot of attention needs to be paid. Do these people actually work well together?
I mean, we should probably also talk about Vixens a little bit. Like, obviously, we touched on Mannix's incredible, return to SSN. Oh my gosh, like, we love Mannix. We were like...
I do like her. She's
like,
really good,
she was just playing her best netball.
It was exciting to see. Like, it's really... But, I mean, I think Vixens, it's hard because they are just such... You know what you get with them. They are probably, I'd say, like, the most consistent team. They are just, everyone just stands up, does their job.
I'm like regretting that we didn't put them in our top 4 now. I think because we questioned a lot about what how different the coaching might be affected. Di Honey's comments in regards to how she was going to, I think it was on No Dribble, how she was going to like do anything different or coach the Vixens differently. And she's essentially not really going to do anything different unless anything needs
I mean, if it's not broken, why fix it?
because the girls know what they're
doing. They won a premiership last year.
They know what they're doing.
Why would you be coming in here trying to go, but at least to their benefit, it's not a brand new coach. It's someone who's been in a coaching role for years now. Yeah, been through the things, knows what works for the team, has relationships as well, So
it's a good thing, honestly, because can you imagine if there was like a brand new coach that'd come in and just really wanted to stamp the, themselves. Yeah. Whereas like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I know that the first quarter was a bit tighter, but I think it was more, I think that the Vixens were just warming into it. Like I really think, I think the Giants could not maintain that level and the Vixens were just like, we're just ticking along.
That's what got them into a grand final, and winning a grand final was just doing what they needed to do.
Doing the small things right, consistently.
Getting it. I think even Di Honey said, I can't remember if this week or last week, but like if you just take it one quarter at a time, if you win each quarter, you win the game. Breaking it down like that, it just 100%. Goes to show like they are such a consistent team.
Not much to critique with Vixens really. They're just
a solid side.
So Jo Weston got player of the match for that game as well, which I love because I feel like especially when she gets pushed out to wing defence in general, sometimes the pressure is like can be a thankless job. How much pressure you're putting on the attacking players, so it's nice to see them rewarded for that. 8 games does help.
I mean it was a pretty solid game for her, to be fair.
Also, Kate Maloney in that centre position had 129 net points. Another solid game from her.
I don't think I've ever seen her have a bad game.
Oh, I know, right? Like,
what does that feel like?
I know. It's crazy. She's like actually just gotten better and better. Do you remember when there was a point? Do you remember a few years ago where there was a point where Kate Maloney and JLP missed out on like diamond selection? Do you remember? There were years where
when Kate missed World Cup.
Yeah.
She didn't get selected.
And JLP didn't get selected one year.
Nuts thinking about it now.
Right, but it just goes to show that sometimes that is a favour. That is the world giving you a favour because all of a sudden it like lights a fire to be like, no, I'm going to prove just how fucking amazing I actually am.
And you know what I also am really enjoying is like I feel like they're redefining like you get to this amount of games, that's it, you're done, retire, see you later, get out the door, the next one's in. You hit 30 and they're like, no thanks. But I feel like we could actually start seeing players going to 200. Like their best is still coming.
100%.
They are nowhere near.
You know how I feel about the ageism in regards to like people calling for heads of retirement because they're getting too old. It's like, what are you talking about?
That means nothing.
These women are just getting better.
Yeah.
Like they're coming back from children and they are better than they were before.
Exactly.
Like, they times are different. Like access to information, to, specialists, to like, these women are not slowing down. They are actually just getting better.
And I love it. I love to see it as well. And it just gives them more time to mentor the new generation.
Like all of them are starting like little businesses now. They've all got like,
exactly,
Sophie just brought one out. We're like shooting with Sophie.
Shoot with Sophie,
yeah. Let's talk about the final game. A lot to talk about this game. So speaking of, we have, Maddie Proud, who is the returning mother on Swifts as well. And she must be on managed minutes because the way this game started, all I could think of was get Maddie Proud in centre. Because I think Fraser is a great player. There is an interesting, I guess, journey of her positioning. She was at Swifts, not in her main position. She was a wing defence at Swifts, and then she moved to Mavericks because to play her preferred position, which was wing attack, because she's more of an attacker. And then now we're seeing her back at Swifts starting as the centre. And I think when you're playing against JLP in centre, it's a hard ask. It's a hard ask when centre is not your main position. I was just really waiting for Maddie Proud to get on then. I think that really was a huge change for the Swifts, because I skipped a few steps. Let's go back to the beginning.
How many
Mavs
times
should have won this game.
I think is the only way to describe it. That last minute.
I did actually tip Swifts for this game, so I felt very torn.
So, you know what? Shout out to Carissa. I know you're listening. That's exactly what she said. I've tipped Swifts, but I think it's Mavs. And I was like, I bet you're glad you tipped Swifts now. I'm annoyed she got 4 for 4 this tipping week. I'm coming for you next week.
I love Carissa's just started following SSN 2 years ago, 100%. And she's beating us on tipping. This game, let's talk about it, because the Mavericks had control of this game. Yes, everything really did change once Maddie Proud entered that court, but I think let's talk about, okay, so the things that we expected and that we knew would happen were that JLP was going to have another great game in midcourt.
Once again, like Kate Maloney.
Just a given.
When doesn't she?
Maddie Proud is just, honestly, they need her out there for a full game. When is she going to be out there for a full game?
We should also actually have a bet on how many times this season she'll hit the deck.
Have a tally.
Have a tally. So each game we add a couple notches to the tally.
That hip land looked like it hurt, when she landed on her hip a bit. Maybe some work on the balance, maybe. It's not a good advertisement for the shoes she wears. So I really liked what we saw from Nelson this week.
Much stronger start.
Oh, much stronger.
Which is what you want to see.
Yeah, we didn't need to see her benched at all. I think it was the final minutes they made a change, which I think we'll talk about, maybe not the best choice, but because Nelson was actually having a superbly solid game.
I think she's having
really
better game. So round 1, yep, see? I gave her the benefit of the doubt last week. I said it was round 1, yep. So
but yeah, her positioning was better, her asking for the ball.
Strong take.
Yeah, it was really, really good. What happened? Okay, so Swifts, obviously, we've talked about their shooting end. I think this is what, it's funny. I think someone said why doesn't, everyone critiqued Lightning, but no one critiques Swifts for winning in the same way. I was I would argue
here to critique them both.
I would argue Swift's shooting end have been the most critiqued element of SSN for the past 2 years.
Yeah, I think so.
I think everyone has critiqued this shooting end. I don't think anyone has had more of a spotlight on them than these two. Yep. So I really, really liked what I saw this week. It was everything that we have spoken about that they need to change and work on. That's exactly what they've done. So we saw Grace and Helen sharing the load a lot more.
Which made a difference.
Yeah, the feeders were actually looking for Helen. She was getting in the circle. And I can imagine if you know the feeders aren't going to look for you, I can understand why you would well, why am I going to take that drive? Why am I going to work really hard to try and make myself an option if the feeders have been told to just go straight to Grace? But it looks like that's changed because Helen was being spotted. She was being looked for. Yeah. She took a number of ones, more than we've seen her take in a while.
It definitely felt like they were moving a lot more freer in attack. I feel like there still is that disconnect between Grace and Helen, but it was better. It was better.
And Grace is coming out and going for the twos, so they're becoming a double super
shot
threat.
So happy to see that. It's good. I mean, that being said, Housby did have quite a few attempts. We did see her accuracy a bit off to her standards.
She got there though.
She got there when it counted.
She did get player of the match for this one as well. Yeah. But I just saw a spark of the old Helen.
Yeah, I think towards the end of that game, it finally felt like Swifts woke up.
I celebrated it so much. I was just so happy, for her to see that spark back in her that just haven't seen for a while, particularly last week. I was going for Mavs as well.
Devastated for Mavs.
Yeah, for Mavs, devastated.
But at least it's exciting for Swifts.
Yeah. That final minute of that game, I was literally edge of my couch.
It was just tip, and then you were like, oh my God, the Swifts are going to do it. Oh my God, the Mavs are going to do it.
They were preparing for extra time.
It was nuts. And then it was one person got the tip on it, and they picked it up.
The Clow had that baseline throwing, and that's when we thought it was done. Yeah. We thought it was done. We're like, oh, this is Swifts.
Yeah, no.
But then Hardy got the intercept.
And you're like,
and then super shot.
Yeah. And then, did she get it or she...
No, she got the super shot.
Oh, and then it was back to...
And then it was drawn. it was drawn. So when Clow had ball in hand and she was on that baseline, like everyone was like, oh, it's done. Swifts have won. Like she must have felt too comfortable because I don't know what that pass was. Like defenders, when you're throwing in the baseline, you need to get better at passing.
It was shocking.
Pallavi just absolutely, that was beautiful. Yeah, it went down the other end and it was seconds on the clock and they got the goal and they just screamed for Grace to take the one and
But I actually want to point out, remember from last year, was it, I can't remember what game, but it was one of the later ones. Remember, it was so controversial. Grace caught the ball, she should have shot. She passed to Housby missed. Did you notice it was the exact same thing this time?
How was it Grace?
It was the same.
It was Helen who got the winning goal.
Helen.
Oh, it
Helen. Was Grace catching the ball and then instead of her taking it, throwing it to Housby, and the last game Housby was like, what the hell? And then missed it.
I didn't even click
and
that
then
it was
the
same.
exact, literally put them side by side, you'll see it. Watched it in the moment and I was like, I've seen this before. But then this time she actually got it and I thought, what a redemption.
Gutted for Mavs, but I mean, I think they actually lost the second quarter. I did make a note about this. Whereas
I'm not sure
I actually think...
remember Grace had that little bit of a knee niggle?
Oh, they said something about she was banging her knee, hey?
No, she like landed a bit funny and had a little bit of a limp.
So in the first quarter, the Mavericks won the quarter 21-16.
Yeah.
So a really, really solid win of that quarter. But in the second quarter, so this is actually, I think, before Maddie Proud even came onto the court in the second quarter, Swifts won 19-16. They won that quarter. Like that was actually the changing point. So even though Mavs had a really strong start, the Swifts came back, hit back in that second quarter, and that's kind of when everything then kind of started being a fight for it.
Yeah.
God, my head is fucking struggling.
We're almost done.
Almost done. So what did you think about the choice to take Nelson off in the final minutes? Like I know Pallavi did get that intercept, but I agree with some of the commentary around the idea that it probably would have perhaps been good to maybe bench Rue in that moment, get Pallavi on.
Yeah, possibly, because I mean, we did also see Rue with a bit of the yips, which is very interesting and very out of character. Because we've seen her time and time and again come in and clutch moments for Lightning.
Oh, like I know it sucks for Mavericks, but God, as a spectator, it was bloody amazing.
What exciting games, and it's only round two.
Only round two.
Seeing Maloney and JLP going up against each other.
This is what I'm so excited about.
This will be a really exciting game.
I'm excited to see, like, outside of the who wins the game, I'm excited to see who wins that centre net points battle.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, are they going to cancel each other out?
I mean, hey, they just might. Speaking of running into each other, I saw Tegan O'Shaughnessy post up that clip. Remember how we had this suspicious back injury last year? She confirmed she fractured her back.
Crazy.
And it was when she collided with JLP and hit the deck. At least they were having a laugh about it in the comments, so it's all happy days.
Who else ran into JLP?
It was
yesterday?
Again Sarah Clow. Sarah Clow got cleaned up too, and JLP's just standing. I'm thinking, God, what? Girl, drop the gym routine. Honestly, like I want to be half as tank as you.
Also, her passes though, like the bullet
Imagine
passes.
being on the receiving end of that,
mate. Literally.
Stingers, Lightning, and Swifts.
Lightning and Swifts.
Will Gabby Sinclair be back?
Yeah, that's kind of what it all lands on, isn't
and
it?
And if she is, I would actually like to see them go back to basics and have Cara Conan and Gabby.
But Lightning have 3 super shot threats.
Yeah. That being said about Swifts, Grace and
Helen together.
Good, and I'm all for people evolving their game. So it's good to see Grace backing herself in high pressure moments. The amount of messages I get from people being like, I thought you were Alexa.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah.
Is it because she stood out in fucking pink?
Yeah, it is actually. I had people being like, why is she wearing pink? I'm like, apparently it's a neutral colour.
All right, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you for putting up with my sick-sounding voice and low energy vibes today. But if you're still listening, please go and give us a 5-star review on Spotify if you haven't already. That really helps us out. And thank you so much for supporting our podcast. And we will see you after round 3.